Sandra Manko.
Welcome everybody to the town of Sharon. I'm glad you took the time and took the opportunity to come out and see what's happening in our little piece of the world. Special thanks go out to Assemblyman Tague and Senator Oberacker for coming today to see what they can do to help us with the violations and the issues that we're having. So I turn it over to Assemblyman Tague.
Thanks, Sandra. Well, good afternoon, folks. First of all, thank you from the bottom of my heart for coming today. We appreciate each and every one of you. For those that don't know me, I'm Assemblyman Tague, and I approve this message. I represent the 102nd Assembly District, which covers parts of Delaware, Otsego County, parts of Albany County, all of Schoharie, and all of Greene. I used to represent 7 counties, but with the redistricting, they've moved things around. Now I'm going to be representing a little bit more of Otsego and Delaware, a little bit more of Albany County, and then of course I represent all of Schoharie and Greene. And proud to serve you in Albany. But I want to start off by saying that, and I can't speak for everyone behind me, but I can speak for myself, that I am not anti-solar, and I'm not against any attempt at alternative energy sources. I'm not against, but I'm also not against a hardworking farmer who has struggled forever for finally a chance to make a couple dollars for the fruits of their many years of labor. However, I am against filling our very fertile, productive farmland with acres upon acres of solar farms and losing that productive farmland forever. My friends, we are here today because once again, the majority in both houses of the state legislature, a former governor and a current governor, has made it clear that they do not understand farms, farmers, or what drives the rural upstate economy, or what matters most to the folks that live in communities like ours. Unless it affects their hometown or their property, they simply don't respect other people's property rights, their way of life. And they don't seem to care what you or I have to say. Now, I don't know about you folks, but I'm really getting tired of this. For the past 6 years, I've been doing my best to get these legislators and other government officials to come to rural upstate New York, and especially to our agritourism and ag-related businesses. And I do this every year for my annual farm tour. And it's to educate them. To educate them that there is a big difference between Main Street Manhattan and a Main Street here in Schoharie County. And also, there is a big difference between what drives our economies than Main Street Manhattan and Main Street Schoharie County. My friends, we have a couple issues that we need to talk about. First, there is language in the budget that was just proposed that removes your local rights or local government control to have any say when a transmission line or project such as a solar farm is sited. Just like the majority's very radical and unattainable green energy laws, just like what they did 2 years ago. 2 years ago, they already pushed you aside when citing solar farms. They want you to allow the state to force these projects where they see fit. And the heck with you, and the heck with your land rights and local government control. Friends, if I have to scream from now until April, like I did at the original solar farm siting legislation over 2 years ago, I will oppose this, and I'll do everything to protect your property rights. You know, 2 years ago, when I opposed and debated this legislation on the assembly floor, questioned the majority on who was going to be responsible for holding these companies accountable and who was going to be responsible for holding them to follow the rules and to be respectful of the concerns of local residents, landowners, and local governments. The person on the other end of the debate said, well, ag and markets, of course, NYSERDA, and DEC. We said, that's great. But with all the projects that will be cited, there's not going to be enough staff to properly do the job. Now we see that we were right. We also questioned at the time the already 300,000 plus acres of lost productive farmland to residential and alternative energy projects. And the fact that farmers are already struggling for land to make their operations viable to just stay in business. Along with many other concerns we brought up during the debate and went upon deaf ears. As we said, many of these concerns have come to fruition. And I just want to point out, ag and markets and DEC, by my buck, have been doing their jobs. We've had some issues within my district and Senator Oberacker's district with some of these solar farms, alternative energy projects, and I can tell you that DEC and ag and markets have gotten right there and have followed up with us every single time. But again, they only have a certain amount of staff. So, my friends, one fact that no one can deny: no farms, no food. Human beings, thank you. Human beings cannot live without food. However, we can survive without large solar farms. We have proved that since the beginning of time. The second issue, most of you in this room I know personally, you know I was a dairy farmer. So you know that I will always side with protecting your rights to do what you want with your land. But I'm here to warn you, we got real problems out there. We have bad actors running around the state with pockets full of government subsidies, pressuring farmers and landowners to sign bad contracts. One example, I have a farmer within my district and Senator Oberacker's district who signed one of these long-term solar contracts and thought he would be getting revenue for decades, only to have the solar company declare bankruptcy. After just a couple of years, they disappeared. And guess who got stuck holding the bag? $1.2 million lien on his property. Wow. Yep, the farmer. The farmer. And even the Attorney General of the state of New York is aware that these companies can't be trusted. Go on our website, and you will see a notice warning farmers of these unscrupulous solar scams. My friends, my fellow brothers and sisters, my fellow farmers, be careful and be aware. Look, I know everyone has things to do today. We have a bunch of other speakers, so I'll just finish up with a few thoughts. The people in control up in Albany, they don't understand us. Most of them live in apartments or densely populated cities or suburbs, and many have asked, if asked, think that their food comes from the store. They have no idea where their food really comes from. From somebody that lives here and has grown here, it's actually ridiculous. You know, President Eisenhower once said something very insightful. He said, farming looks mighty easy when your plow is a pencil and you're 1,000 miles from a field. Governor Hochul, I hope you were listening. Governor Hochul, you need to spend less time in Manhattan and more time in rural upstate New York, listening to your people. We're only 35 miles from your office at the Capitol. And if you need help learning how to get here, you can follow me home. I travel back and forth several times a week. Sadly, Governor, we feel you have lost touch with upstate New York. You've lost touch with common sense and doing what is right rather than what benefits you politically. So, Governor Hochul, we're respectfully, and I repeat that, respectfully, asking you to listen to we the people and follow common sense. We want local control put back into the sightings of these projects. We want help for the understaffed agencies to uphold the laws and regulations and hold these operators accountable. We want more funding to go to the host communities so they have the tools and resources to deal with these larger size projects and any damages done to adjoining property owners or local government property. We want you, Governor, to assure the operators follow our right to farm laws and don't impede our local government officials from doing their jobs. We want you, Governor Hochul, to limit the amount of productive farmland that can be used in counties across the state based on local government's farmland preservation plans and laws. And lastly, Governor, stop allowing control of our beautiful rural upstate New York landscape to New York City politicians. And lastly, Governor, stop telling me and the people that come from the same place as don't tell me how I can use my land. Don't tell me what fertilizer I can use. Don't tell me how to heat my home, or what type of car I can drive, or what type of seed that I can put in the ground. And please stop biting the hand that feeds us so our farmers can continue to farm, make a reasonable living, and do what they love. Governor, this is America. We still have a constitution and a government that is supposed to be for the people and by the people. I wish that Albany would remember that. In closing, I will fight for my rights, your rights, all landowners, and the rights of every New York farmer and of every American. I just want to say God bless each and every one of you. We need to stick together. God bless the farmers that feed us, and God bless the greatest country in the history of the world, our United States of America. And with that, I would like to call on Senator Peter Oberacker. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I am a little horsey in the throat, which is probably going to be good for y'all. So I don't, and here's the other thing, someone once said to me, Senator Oberacker, you're a man of few words. Well, when you follow Assemblyman Chris Tague, who is also my assemblyman, you do have few words because he says it so eloquently and so good. So there's really not much, that I can improve upon, except for you all to know this. Chris and I are a team. Chris and I work extremely well, believe it or not, in Albany. Knowing that I have someone who will have my back, knowing that I have his back, is unmeasurable as far as what we find in Albany. Because I got news for you. One of the best traits you can have in Albany as a legislator is eyes in the back of your head so you can see when it's coming. That being said, 100% in support of where we're going. The thing that is really disheartening is we're seeing a chipping away of our local rights and our local ability to live the way that we want to live. It isn't just this project. I mean, I was in the Senate yesterday debating the bills on the new maps and the things that go with that. We have zero say. All Republicans voted in fashion, and it still passed. And the reason they do this is because they can. The reason they do this is because they can. when we were talking about what would be an answer, what would be a solution to this? My dad always had a saying, if you're going to complain about something and not offer a solution, you're a whiner. And I don't want to be a whiner. And you know what we can do? We can make farming not profitable. We can make it livable. We could make it sustainable. Put whole milk back in the schools. Repeal the farm labor 40-hour work week legislation. And as Chris so eloquently said, allowing who better to be stewards of the land than our farmers. What fertilizer, what seed, what we put in there, we need to get back to. We need to get back to allowing our agricultural warriors, as I call you, get back to doing what you do well, which is that. And I'll close with this. My son is a farmer. He lives in Dutchess County, and we were fortunate enough for him to find a wonderful young lady who lives on the farm. And the first thing I have to tell you, which was kind of interesting, so when I married my wife, who was the farmer's daughter as well, they were milking about 40 head. And that was a good-sized farm. I won't tell you when, because it was back a ways. So my son's on the farm, and they're currently milking about 900. So when I heard that, my first response was like, man, that's a hook. He said, Dad, that's not a big number. And I said, what are you talking about? He said, by today's standards, when you look at so farming has evolved, okay? It has evolved. It is getting more modernized, I guess, in certain areas. But we as legislators, some, not here, those that are down in the city, do believe that it is easy as simply scraping the dirt, planting the seed. I think it was Mayor Bloomberg who said, well, farming's not that hard. You dig a hole, put some seed into it, water it, and you go from there. It's ignorance. Chris is doing a great job of trying to take care of that. I'm going to follow up along with that from the Senate. Folks, I'll leave you with this. Don't give up. Never give up. God bless you all. Thank you. You thought that I forgot who I was going to introduce, but I had to go back and shake Chris's hand. So with that, I would like to introduce Bill Federice, who's the chairman of the Board of Supervisors here in Stuart. Thank you.
Now, Senator Oberacker said that he would be brief. Well, I may even be more brief because my prepared remarks are somewhere out in that field over there. So I'm going to work what they call extemporaneously. You would know too, though. You don't have to reveal it. But okay, I'm going to talk about something which involves everybody, especially farmers, but the rest of us. Usually, when you have a big enterprise come into town, you're looking forward to the property tax revenue, and they're approving the land or whatever they're doing. Or if it's really something good, you might negotiate a pilot payment in lieu of taxes. Well, that's what we thought was going to happen with some or all of them, really. However, I guess the developers and the people that are financing it, they're the ones who, I assume, and I was told not to say definitely, but all of a sudden, the state of New York said that they were going to put together a formula for assessing property. And they just did it. And it really comes out to around 83, 87% or so of a reduction in the assessment, which means a reduction in the taxes paid. And I think the one that's already underway is about an 85% reduction in the assessment, give or take a couple.
It's 35,000, and we should get 235,000.
That's a good deal if you can get it. But seriously, that was really something that hurts everybody, whether you're a farmer, you own a business, a homeowner, someone's gonna have to pick up that slack. And so what really troubled a lot of folks is that we were negotiating here in the county or trying to put together a formula that would at least give some compensation. All these other issues that we have, that doesn't go away, but at least we'll get something more that would help our communities. There was a lot of concern because there is something in the Constitution called home rule, believe it or not, even though it's being eroded like nobody's business. So what I'll get to that in a minute. When you have notes like this, you have a hard time following them. So, but no, seriously though, when you talk about renewable energy, and solar is the big thing here, but it's also wind power and so forth. It's all about the money. It's all about the money, not just the money that they're going to make, but how the state is making it so easy or enticing for people to come in. And not only with this special sweetheart or whatever you want to call it deal when it comes to the assessment, there's also renewable energy credits on that. Wow. I mean, so when I say it's all about the money, it's because there are people who don't know a damn thing about renewable energy, but they know how to make a buck. People that are in the financial industry. I'll give you an example. I don't know if it's still the case, but they're still way up there. JP Morgan, one of the largest, maybe the largest financial institution in the country, up until about a year ago, I haven't checked since then, was the biggest investor of renewable energy in New York State. And they were complaining. And I'm sure that they had other people in government when the chairman, Jamie Dimon, testified before Congress about renewable energy. Now, this guy's the head of a large financial institution. What is he doing there talking about renewable energy? What he said was alarming, and I can't believe he didn't say it without clearing it with people that are interested in making this happen. He suggested that the pace is too slow, that government needs to start exercising eminent domain to, oh yes, go Google it, you'll see it yourself. He testified before Congress. To use that as a tool to accelerate the slow process in his mind of going through all these climate change initiatives. So let me come back to the 85%. There were some interested people here in Schoharie County, concerned people, that filed a lawsuit. And some of you know this, I know. So it may be repetitious to some, but not all. Filed a lawsuit claiming that the formula that was put together by the Department of Taxation and Finance was illegal based on the fact that it wasn't out of a legislative action. It was probably something that came from the executive offices, and they put this out. So that suit was filed, like I just said, and interestingly enough, the state wanted it dismissed, and the judge, believe it or not, liberal judge from Albany, appointed by Mario, I keep saying that, Andrew Cuomo, would not dismiss the case. So we don't know where it was going to end up, but the state put together a law, which of course all our friends from Upstate here, the legislators, certainly probably would have had issue with, but they passed it saying, no, that methodology is good and we'll legislate that into place. So, and we never even got to the home rule part. So I don't know where that's going to work, but I gave you the financial, I know some people's eyes roll, they don't want to hear that, but it's, like I said, money is everything. Just want to leave you with one or two thoughts though, that are not necessarily, yeah, they're financial too. You probably heard that Ford is discontinuing production of EV trucks. I think they're the 150s, maybe the bigger ones too. Because no one's buying the damn thing. plants. Nobody wants them. Nobody wants to turn on their truck or their car in the middle of winter and see the needle go way down on their range, because now they're using the electricity that was going to be used to get the car moving to keep you warm. So they're going to lose $9.5 billion for last year and this year combined. And nobody wants to buy this stuff. So why is the government, meaning like New York State, pushing this? And what are we going to be? We're going to solve the world's problems? Meanwhile, you've got China commissioning 1 to 2 coal-powered coal plants a week. Thank God, that's awful. But we're going to solve the world's problems here. So anyway, and one last thing. This power that they're going to get across the road here and other parts of the county, all over the area, you're not going to see a kilowatt of it. Not one bit. That is all going downstate. I guess they have a coal plant down there or something like that is aged out. And we're going to have to pay the price. And if you listen to the governor and how much land that they need, or the people that work for him, I mean, I kind of think this is a little on the high side, but I've heard numbers of as much as what, 600,000 acres to fulfill their targets. And I'm being told by our expert here, who I can't call expert, but he's modest. It's a lot, let's put it that way. And where's that land going to come from? Probably cleared land that already is there, and you know what that is. So anyway, I said I would be short. You should be thankful that I did lose my remarks. So thank you very much. And now I would like to introduce my friend Don Airey, who is the supervisor from the town of Blenheim here in Schoharie County. He's also the chairman of our energy committee. And I won't call you an expert again. I'll just say you're our point man when anything comes up like this, and he's very knowledgeable. Thank you. Thank you, Bill.
First, I'd like to thank the Sailsbury family for hosting this event. Chris, Senator Oberacker, everyone else, thank you. I do not know why we were in here. I heard some discussion about the weather was too cold outside. We should be outside. Anyway, that's what we should have this. Let's get tough. All right, so first off, I am going to be briefer than these guys. Plus, Federice stole a lot of my thunder.
You told me I could.
But at any rate, one thing I want to say up front, this is a farm. This is a farm. That thing across the road, that's not a farm. That's not a farm. All right, there's no such thing as a solar farm. There's no such thing as a wind farm or a tank farm or a natural gas farm. It's about energy. And that's what it's about. It's about energy. And energy is about money. And it's a very difficult playing field to engage in. And if anybody thinks they're going to get on that playing field with a big energy company, whether it's renewables or anything else, and they're going to win, well, wish you good luck. Very, very tough road to hoe. They know their business. So, wind and solar facilities are industrial power generating facilities that are in conflict with comprehensive plans, local land use regulations, while gutting home rule. Look at all the comprehensive plans that everybody spent a lot of time putting together. A lot of volunteers at our town level put those comprehensive plans together. In Albany, they have no regard for it. I don't know why. I don't think they would. It's the will of the people. It's the voice of the people. But they don't seem to care. So, we are having an industrial use being forced upon rural agricultural communities. Now, I want to talk a little bit about Blenheim for a second. Because I'm a Hair Club member when it comes to energy. For 50 years, Blenheim, through eminent domain, has lived under the shadow of an earthen dam that the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission calls a high hazard dam. 50 years. It's a pump storage project. makes 1,200 megawatts of power. You're gonna hear some people have said, oh, Schoharie County doesn't have skin in this game. They're not making any energy. Oh, no, they discount that facility. But every day, every month, every year, when we have a rainstorm or something like Irene, my constituents live under that dam. I'm not bashing NICA. What I am saying is this county and every one of our towns in this county has skin in the game. So we all live under the threat of that dam all the time. Now, after 50 years, we had to do relicensing. I had to do that. And what happened? Well, we had a little leverage, very little. And we reached a settlement. County got a settlement, Wenham got a settlement, our host community partner, Gilboa did. And why am I telling you that? I'm telling you that because it's a game changer. It took board meetings where we were wondering about how the heck we were going to pay for chains for our snowplow. It gave us resources. And if we got to have this stuff, and we have to give up some prime agricultural land, pay us. Pay us. When I say it's a game changer, I mean it. It enriches the community. It takes a burden off the rural taxpayers, the school districts, the towns, and it makes us all healthier, and the agricultural community benefits by that. So the energy developers and leaseholders get paid, while the upstate rural host communities and taxpayer gets left footing the bill with an unfair state of New York Division of Taxation and Finance assessment formula given to them by NYSERDA. Bill was right, 15 or 20% assessment on a $100 million project. Extrapolate that across the entire upstate region of New York. We're not talking about millions of dollars here over 25 years. We're talking about billions of dollars over 25 years. And the sad part of it is we're paying 4 or 5 times with subsidies. And Bill made a point. He talked about they get carbon credits and others, Let me tell you something. Without keeping you here all day, the revenue streams that the developers, the multinational companies are making out of this is a boatload of money. George Sailsbury's an appraiser. We paid him a lot of money to appraise the project in Sandy's town, your town. And he told me a story. And he said, Don, it's like watching a sailor on leave at a bar. They're so drunk with profits, the state is pumping so much money into this, but they're never going to say no to the next drink. And Albany keeps giving them the next drink. And we have to contend with it. So pay us. We have to live with it, pay us. Let's talk about decommissioning. Everybody in this room is going to hold that bag. In 25 years or 30 years or 40 years, it's coming. Wind facilities with materials we can't even get rid of. Solar facilities that as of today might be legal to get rid of in certain places. What about tomorrow when a state where regulation seems to be a passion? We're going to hold the bag. Maybe not me, but the next generation will. And it's going to be a legacy across this state. Think about it. Hundreds of thousands of acres of dead turbines and dead solar panels. And the money that's being allowed in decommissioning plans now is not enough, and there's no way anybody can tell you what those costs are going to be 10, 20, 30 years from now. They're speculating on your money, on your land, on our economy. I'm getting fired up, and I'm sorry.
We love it.
If New York, if New York State goes 100% carbon neutral in energy production, the entire state, it'll be less than 0.001% of a carbon reduction on the planet. But for some reason, our own governor has identified us as being liable for that responsibility. It's outsized and it's out of scale to what rural upstate New York can bear, for what we all can bear, especially our agricultural community. Absolutely out of scale. And I'm going to close soon, but I got one more thing to say. Think about the ancillary damage that is yet to come. Battery energy storage systems. Because folks, there's no way around it. These erratic and unreliable sources of energy have to be bridged. Now, the Blenheim-Gilboa Pump Storage Project does that very well. And they're going to run clean path from that facility all the way down to the Astoria Power Station down in New York City. It's a great project. Invenergy is going to make probably $3 billion off the deal. And you know what we're going to get? Zero. Exactly. Zero. For all of that infrastructure and investment, our return is going to be virtually zero. That's a huge problem. Schoharie County, I'll speak for one county, we're investing a lot of money, a lot of energy, and a lot of time into agritourism and into tourism in general in this state. And what are we going to get for it while we're doing that? Battery energy storage facilities, transmission lines, right-of-ways, deeded right-of-ways, and road closures, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That money's going to be out the window. Because, folks, somebody told me once, oh, wind facilities. People drive to see them. They'll come from 100 miles to see them. And I said to them, you know what? People go see a plane crash once. And that's what they're asking us to believe. That's what they're telling us. And in closing, I call on the governor and our state government to reconsider the industrial wind and solar assessment formula. It was Schoharie County that led the charge. And we challenged them through the State Administrative Procedures Act about what they were trying to do with lowering assessments. And we won a temporary restraining order, and they knew we were going to win. So what did they do? Chris and Pete can tell you about this. What they do, they adopted Part N, and they legislated around what they knew we were going to win upon. Well, let me say this about that. We're not done yet. And again, I call on the governor and the state government to reconsider the industrial wind and solar assessment formula. The siting policy of projects to seriously consider and include home rule to reevaluate the overall NYSERDA energy policy, which is flawed deeply, and to reconsider the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act as it places an outsized and crushing burden on upstate communities in its current form. And thank you for putting up with me, and thank you for your time. I messed that up. Now I'm going to introduce Bill Barbic, Town of Sharon Springs Highway Supervisor. How about it, Bill?
Hey, everybody, thanks for all coming. I'll start by saying, as you can see on the way up here, the unpermitted heavy truck traffic during our wet season is destroying our local roads. That's just one small token of what's happening here. I'm very disappointed in our leaders and peers at the state level. However, I am optimistically hopeful that both New York and NextEra will realize the damage they and all the subcontractors have done under the protection of this Article 10, which is now referred to as L94C. I'm going to reference Article 10 in this a couple times. I'm also hopeful that New York State backs us when it comes time for cleanup and or to replace anything that has been damaged or lost with this whole transition and the protection of what they have under Article 10. New York State Article 10 is being forced on us by NextEra with full backing from New York State and its many departments. Regardless of local law and procedure, due to this overreach, the lack of safety and the oversight of this project is completely unacceptable and a very huge liability for the town of Sharon. The safety and local laws, state laws, and code enforcements that are jeopardized under Article 10, and the subpar contractors cutting corners and changing plans for financial gain, knowing that there's no inspections or oversight to be taken care of. Poor planning on NextEra's, layman's terms, the fox is watching the hen house. There's no oversight. They come in, they do what they want, they bury it when they leave, and it's going to be our problem many, many years down the road. This complete process from start to finish has been handled wrong. Big business comes in, makes millions, while the local taxpayer is stuck with the cleanup and the expense of it all. Not to mention the lower property values and the eyesore. I'm very saddened by what's going on here and what's been done to the beautiful land. The financial damage and the future financial burden of this project will cost the taxpayers millions of dollars in this projected life of this project. I've been the boots on the ground. I've personally witnessed a lot of different contractors. Over the past 1 year, we've had 5 different general contractors through NextEra. These guys show up, we catch them doing something, we report it, they're gone, the next guy comes in. They don't work with us. They don't let us know what's going on. They know they can do what they want when they want to. And I really feel that what they're doing is against the law. I really feel that if you know, when this comes full circle, everyone's going to know and they're going to say how wrong this was and they'll look back and reflect on this. You know, I'm not going to badmouth anybody. I do believe that this is New York State's fault. I do believe this is NextEra's fault. I do believe that it's a little bit of the capitalistic, you know, grind towards saving a dollar, and that's ultimately the town of Sharon's paying for it because things aren't being rebuilt right. Cables are going in state highways, not to state spec, cross culverts. Any future growth we have, if you walk down that road, there's a 90-mile view. It's beautiful. I know lots of people that would love to have a house on top of this hill. Now what do we have? We have zero growth for Sharon. There's a better spot for these things. Down the median's I-90, parking garages, parking lots. I mean, it's ridiculous. You know, there's I'm going to leave it at that. I'm a plethora of useless knowledge when it comes to this. I've been immersed in this whole situation for a year and a half, 2 years now. It's been exhausting. They have a team of lawyers that hound you every day, and it's just us and Sharon trying to battle it. That being said, contact me. My number's all over. If you have a question, if I can help out and try to help you guys prevent this from happening in your town, I'll do everything I can. At this point, it's too late for us, but at least we can live and learn and move forward together and work as a community together. That being said, I want to introduce Steve Smith from the Farm Bureau, Region 9, represents Schoharie County Farm.
So it's a privilege to join you folks today on behalf of the Farm Bureau. Thank you to the Assemblyman Tague as well as our Senator Oberacker and the Sailsbury Farm for hosting us. These types of challenges have many layers to them. And it's important that we do get together and we do make our voice heard, because as has been said earlier, the decisions that are made far away from here, they take little influence over what's actually going to happen and where we have to live. As Farm Bureau goes, we are advocating for agriculture with the voice of agriculture, but I invite others. It's great to see all of you here, and I thank you for taking the time, because we do need to make our voices heard. We do need to advocate for our rural environment that we have. It's worked for centuries. New technologies are going to make themselves more prevalent, but it's that meticulous effort of working with DC, as Assemblyman Tague said, working with ag and markets so that we are able to preserve our land resources and continue to follow the ability to right to farm and protect those land resources for the residents that are our neighbors. I encourage you to continue to do what you're doing today, to make your voices heard, to send your lobbying efforts up to. It's one of the things we do at Farm Bureau. This is our policy book. And we talk very well in it about, we've developed at the grassroots, our concern about taking prime farmlands and putting them under a large solar array such as this. But we have to balance that out with the ability to protect the rights of the landowner. But so that's the complexity of it. My encouragement to you is to make your voices heard. Let's join together and make sure that we do get that message back to Albany, because as has been said earlier today, they're going blind into this. It's, for them it makes sense, but we're the ones that have to live here and try to be able to reside and farm here in this communities after the aftermath of that. So once again, I thank you all for coming out today. I thank our legislators for stepping up and helping to make this our challenges to be heard. So and with that, I just would want to introduce Stuart Sailsbury to finish up the day here at the farm. Thank you for having me.
I don't have a lot to say. Everybody else pretty much covered what I was dealing with. And long story short, we're up here, dead end road, seasonal. We don't bother anybody. We're just at here, top of the hill. Last year, solar panels started moving in. They're an eyesore. Nobody likes looking at them. Nobody likes them. We didn't ask for them. The town of Sharon did not ask for them. I kept my mouth quiet for the most part until 5-6 weeks ago, when we started getting runoff from the other side of the road onto this farm. Called several companies. I ended up calling Chris. I started getting mad. I had a meeting up here a couple weeks ago with Agri Markets and DPS. They are going to address some of the situations. They fixed the one culvert issue already. I will give them credit for that. We still have very limited use to our road. We have to start using that here pretty quick. As a farmer, Mother Nature is in control. When it's time to go, we gotta go. We can't use our road. We rent land down there. Last fall, we had to cut a hole in a hedgerow on a neighboring property so we could get down to our corn to combine it off. They said we could use the road. We tried getting a dump truck down it. We almost flipped it over. We ended up doing this. Now we have ruts in our fields that we have to address this spring so we can continue using them. Hopefully by then the road is taken care of and everything is fixed and we can go back to it. With the road scenario, I know I've talked with Billy Barbic many times. He's probably annoyed with me from calling him many times. But they tried kicking him off of this road because he's trying to do a job so he can maintain it. He got a registered letter. You can't do that. We hired him as a town supervisor to take care of these roads. From there, I don't know. I don't like seeing eyesores. I got a 5-year-old son who came up the road the other day and said, "Dad, those things are ugly." Well, yes, they are. I don't like seeing them. New York State has got to take a better look at this. My father said it best. They put the cart before the horse. Nobody has addressed the situation. Nobody knows what these panels are going to do to the ground in 25 years. Agri-Markets also suggested 2 weeks ago we start monitoring our well because of the runoff that's coming from across the street. They said it, not me. I didn't ask for it. They said it and it suggested that we start monitoring. So this is now out of our pockets. This is what we have to do. Monitor our well, send a sample out every year because of the runoff and or because of what is in these panels supposedly. From there, take it as a grain of salt, take it as what you want. I don't like it. My father does not like it. I understand what they're trying to do. Billy said it best, put it someplace closer to the city. Let them look at it. I don't have to. I appreciate everybody coming today and supporting us. I got to turn it back over to Chris. I want to thank Chris for getting everybody together today and getting this more publicized. Then hopefully something will happen. I appreciate it. Thank you.
First of all, I want to thank Stuart and his family for having us all here today and for calling me when they started to have these issues to let me know that things weren't going good. And I appreciate that. I appreciate all of you coming. I want to thank the folks from the press that are here that came out on a cold day to tell the story. And I would open it up right now for on-topic questions. If anybody from the press would like to ask any on-topic questions. Rick Carlin's not asking a question?
Where do you go from here?
Where do we go from here? Well, I'm hoping, I'll tell you, Rick, I can tell you that during the budget hearings, and I'm sure you covered some of the stuff that went on in the budget hearings, there were discussions from my friends on the other side of the aisle. They're starting to hear some whispers that maybe this wasn't such a great idea. A lot of questions were asked in the budget hearing about what are we going to do with all these solar farms. Honestly, I think Senator Oberacker said it best. If you want changes in your state, you don't like how things are going, the only way you're going to change it is at the ballot box. You're not, yeah. I'm trying my hardest not to be political here today, but I'm going to be honest with you. Senator Oberacker and I cannot leave here today and promise you that this thing across the street is going to stop operating. We don't have the power to do that. He and I are in super minorities in both houses, and both houses are controlled by the majority party. They're the ones that have an agenda and make up the legislation that comes to the floor. Now, the original legislation Governor Cuomo brought to the floor, and I don't know, Senator, if you were there yet. I was. I debated the bill for my conference on the assembly floor. And I debated Chuck Levine, who was a lawyer from Long Island, who tried to make an argument to me that he lived on a farm in Michigan when he was a kid. And I like to say, I asked him how many cows he milked, and he said he didn't know. That tells me he didn't milk any. Okay, so I think to answer your question, Rick, is we're hoping that by the means of folks like you, that the governor sees what we talked about today. And I asked the governor during my presentation to intervene and make changes to some of these areas that are in the legislation that really give our supervisor from the town of Sharon, or our supervisors in other towns and adjoining property owners and farmers, that takes away their right to be able to have a say in what goes on in their own communities. This is just runs roughshod over everybody. It seems like They always want to do something rural upstate New York. It's like we're the training ground for everything else. Come up here and do it. Rural Maryland, what do they care? They got all kinds of it. Well, here's the problem, folks. We don't have a lot of farmland left. Ask any farmer in this area that's a dairy farmer that's milking over 100 cows if they got enough land to run their farm. Ask the people that are growing fruits and vegetables up here in rural Schoharie County if they have enough land when they're going to 4 or 5 different farm markets on the weekend. They're fighting, actually, the rental, you want to get in a business that you're going to make money? Rent out farmland, because there'll be the 3 farmers that live within 10 miles of you will be bidding for your farmland.
Chris, you got a question?
Yes.
Hi, I just wanted to jump in. My name is Kim. We work together across New York State in a group called Stop Energy Sprawl. We're not alone. You're not alone in your town. I'm not alone in my town. They want us to feel alone. We need to work together. I have resolutions for your town board regarding rapid, something that Mr. Tague talked about. Bring it to your town board. Bring it to your elected officials. Come find me. Come find Keith, Steve. Find one of us afterwards. Okay, let's network. We're not alone. None of you are alone. Thank you.
Thank you. What do the representatives of Albany, Assemblyman Center, do they have any direct contact with ORES? Can they have direct contact with ORES?
I'm not familiar with what
ORES?
I'm not familiar with what that is.
That's the entity that does the siting.
Office of Regional Life.
Okay, yes. Well, no.
You have direct contact.
We can have direct contact with them. We can call them and ask them. We can write letters against the project. But I'm going to tell you right now, it's just a formality. You can write all the letters you want. These projects have been selected, and listen, they had them selected before we even took the legislation up. You know, I get a kick out of it. If you have the Empire Report on your computer, okay, and look at the Empire Report, I know what I'm going to Albany that day to vote on because it's in the press in the morning before I even get there. I'm like, state assembly is going to pass free health care for everybody. I'm like, where'd that come from? I haven't heard anything about it. I haven't got any briefing on it. By God, I get there Monday morning and you go in for a briefing and guess what we're going to take up today? I mean, it's crazy.
This project was cited long before we knew about it.
Right, absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
I was wondering, could you explain a little bit more to the audience about Part O in this year's upcoming budget in Rapid?
Well,
just a general.
I'm only familiar myself, unless the senator wants to hit on it. I'm only familiar myself with the parts that were similar to the Article 10 because I was very, very concerned over the transmission lines and that they were going to be able to cite them just like they did with the solar farms. Listen, it doesn't take rocket science to figure out that a situation like this is bad for a community like ours. And it doesn't matter whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. It's a problem. And that's what brought concern to me. I'm on the ENCON committee, but I'm not on the Energy committee. And right now, the only thing that's come out is the proposal from the governor. The 2 houses have not, we haven't done our budgets yet. I'm assuming probably because of the redistricting, my guess is that that's what we're going to be going into next week. But I don't know, Senator, did you want to say anything about that?
Chris is 100% correct in that right now, in fact, I am on budget and finance, and I was told that now, after getting through the maps and the redistricting for the congressional lines, that we will be diving into the budget concerning a lot of these. Now, the Part O.
Say no to Part O.
Say no to Part O.
Yeah.
Steve Hellman right here is an expert on it.
Well, you know, it's funny, Steve, but lately they've been calling me Senator Oberacker because I've been voting down a lot of this. But, you know, folks, we really do have, we have a battle ahead of us. We really do have a battle ahead. Do not underestimate, and I will say this, and I think Chris will agree, do not underestimate what a phone call or I was going to use a bad word, load, an S-load, of phone calls has an effect. It has an effect, And it's gonna have an even a more amplified effect. You wanna know why? It's an election year.
Yep.
It's an election year. Each and every one of us, if each and every one of us got 3 people to make a phone call to support what we're talking about, don't underestimate what that effect has. Because I know what it has in our office. When there's an issue, it comes directly to me and we address it.
Let me also add to that. If I were you folks, and I'm telling you who to target, to let your voices be heard, would be the chairs of both the energy commission, committees in the Senate and the Assembly. It would be the chairs of the environmental committee in the Senate and the Assembly, and the chairs of the Ag committee in the Assembly and Senate. Those should be your targets. And I would also follow up with the rankers on all 3 of those committees in both houses. I'm the ranker on Ag. You ain't got to worry about me. You're talking to the choir with me. But, you know, like I had said earlier, I have had off-the-record discussions with colleagues of mine on the other side of the aisle that are starting to think that maybe they didn't make the right decision back when we originally voted on this back in, I think it was 2019, I think. Right? 2019? I got a pretty good memory, don't I? So, but I would say, yes, I would say phone calls, text messages, emails to those leaders in the Assembly and Senate will go a long way.
I'm just gonna bring something up because it just came across. Are you ready for this? And it couldn't be, I think, even more appropriate. I just got a text from one of my staffers. New York Attorney General, Letitia James, sues the world's largest beef producer over methane emissions. Climate commitments. Folks,
this is what we deal with every day.
They have lost their minds. They've lost their minds.
Yes, ma'am? I don't know without you.
There's a bill, I can't remember the bill number, I did send Peter an email about it.
Okay.
She has put a bill in, I think it started in 2021, with regards to changing the, 94C rules specific to agricultural farmland and those kinds of.
I have not seen it, but I can tell you that I'm the ranker on agriculture, and that Senator Hinchy and I share my district with Senator Oberacker and Senator Hinchy, all of Greene County. Senator Hinchy and I share. Her and I have a very good relationship. It may have been because of the discussion I had with her. Don't print that, press. But it may have been. In all seriousness, her and I have had many discussions about this. Well, the problem is there may not be a same as in the Assembly by a member of the majority. I could sign on to the bill in the Assembly, but I'm in the minority. They'll never let the bill go to committee.
Okay, so then we would have to contact that person.
Yep, I would call Senator Hinchy up, and I would say, listen, we talked to Senator Oberacker and Assemblyman Tague, and they're willing to be supportive of your bill, but you need to find a sponsor in the Assembly, and we need to get it going.
She has a much better chance of getting that bill through
Than either of us.
than either of us.
Correct.
Yes.
And usually, Assemblywoman Lepardo and Senator Hinchy are usually on the same page. Donna is the chair of the Assembly Ag Committee. I'll tell you right now, we work good together. George Borrello is the ranker in the Senate, and Senator Oberacker is now on the Ag Committee. But I got to tell you something. We have a good relationship on both sides of the aisle with all the leadership on the Ag Committees. We may disagree now and again on some policy issues, but for the most part, we are in agreement. I'm the only one that's ever been a farmer. The rest of them, you know, luckily they live in areas where there are farms. There's a lot of people on the Ag Committee that don't live where there's a farm. Yes, sir.
So you brought up the 2019 CLCPA, which a lot of us are calling the Climate Failure and Community Destruction Act, because that seems to be what it's really about. I wanted to actually thank both of you for another piece of legislation that I think your names are on. I think it's Assembly Bill 5198. And it basically is saying, okay, let's look at the real cost of this. Let's look at the real economic aspects of this. Let's look at the reliability aspects of this. Let's look at why are we not thinking about sources of energy that actually could do the job like nuclear power? You know, you're asking really good questions and putting that on the table. And you know, I'd love to see some Democrats. I got to confess here, folks, I'm a Democrat, but I think we need.
Welcome to Schoharie County. You're one of two, but you're okay.
I've got to tell you, I'm a disgruntled Democrat because I don't see any Democrats on that bill that you all have.
You know, it's funny. So again, being in the Republican conference, we're kind of structured as being anti-green energy, and Chris and I, and it's not true. In fact, I've been doing a lot of research on green hydrogen, and in fact, what it would take. I'm the ranking member on transportation. EVs are not going to work in emergency vehicles. They're not going to work for plow vehicles and Sanders, and they surely are not going to work. I used to be a school bus driver for buses, okay? So that started me down the road to do my own education, my own research on green hydrogen. Folks, we as legislators need to immerse ourselves and learn what's going on. It's easy to pass a bill, and especially it's easier to pass a bill when you're in the majority, when you don't have to think about it, and you don't have to understand the ramifications of it. So, green hydrogen, I'm telling you, and I'm not 100% there yet, but I'm close. And green hydrogen storage cells, and I guess it would say refitting or retooling diesel engines to run off of green hydrogen. I think it's got a much better feel for it, a much better chance for it than the other forms that are out there.
Is there anybody from the press that has any questions, any off-topic questions? Okay, well listen, we want to thank everybody very, very much. We just need to continue to let our voices be heard. Thank you all very much for coming.